I'm going to run through a number of different things, but my goal is fundamentally to really understand how AI prompting can work for different use cases and apply that thinking to the classroom. So we'll talk about some prompting best practices. We're going to talk about methods for generating text, lyrics, images, and animations. It's really the full suite of things you need to be able to make things in any number of contexts, classroom or elsewhere. We're going to focus on birthday messages because that tends to be a nice universal experience, but then I'll show you how those can be applied to any number of specific situations, and we can always talk through those. I'll also at the end have a list of the tools that I use, but also if you have questions about other specific ones, I've done a lot of dabbling and experimenting with different kinds of tools, so happy to kind of chat through and see what else you're seeing or want to talk about there. I'm Dr. Carla. I am the mom of now, oh my God, she's turning 15 in 2 weeks, which is kind of terrifying, but there's my daughter there. I've spent a huge amount of time in the tech industry doing all sorts of products. And then this is Lily, my old English bulldog. And I mentioned Lily because Lily actually plays into my entire AI journey and story very much so. So you will see her show up in the presentation in a cartoon mode. In April of last year, I decided I wanted to learn AI animation. So that started this journey into now what has become really the focus of everything that I'm doing is around AI and education and kids. And the place that I started was illustrating or animating Lily, my dog, because she already was on social media. She's got a nice little following on TikTok if you like bulldog content. But she also just was an easy source of information for me to play around with animating. And from there, I moved into, well, how do I tell a story? How do I create consistent characters? How do I move into education? And so now I have a channel on YouTube where I do educational videos for kids. But then additionally, I've found I get so many questions about how do I do this and how do we think about it and how do we do it smart that it's moved me into this place of talking about it and doing workshops like this. It's really, really important to me that we talk about the mindset and really this idea of responsible use of AI. And I'll show you some examples of how this can go sideways. But the 4 ways that I think about really are critical to approaching any of this. And I think it's especially true when we're bringing kids as an audience into this, is that there's a human in the loop. We are the editor-in-chief. AI is generating, but we are going to review every single thing, every single time. We have to be part of that process. The second piece is also thinking about restraint. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And this also helps us start to think about some of the environmental impacts of AI, as well as there's this urge of like you create a prompt and it generates something and you can so easily just put it out into the world and send it off into the YouTubes and the TikToks and the Instagrams of everything. But being able to take that moment and look at it and think about what is the goal, what is this, what is the value to the audience, and especially for kids, how are we supporting their learning? Which also brings us to the third one of generating with intent. AI has made it very easy to generate quantity of things. I have some articles that I'm happy to share where I've literally found YouTube channels that have posted a unique video every 29 minutes for the last 5 months. So they have thousands of videos on their channel and they have 100, maybe 1,000 followers. And it's just because they can do this does not mean that they should, because that content is not only not thoughtful, but then it's not helping with learning. And the last piece is really about transparency and privacy, which are kind of interwoven. So I believe very much so that we need to be disclosing when we are using AI for kids. Technically, by the platform's descriptions, if you are doing animated content or cartoon content, you do not necessarily need to disclose that it is AI. At the same time, people are creating content with AI, calling it educational, and that's causing a confusing signal for parents. So I do think it's really important to disclose this and to model that honesty for our kids. Same as we also want to talk about things like not using personal data or images into these systems, that it's very easy. I use my dog, I use my cat. I don't put my daughter into that, even though the temptation to create an AI avatar of her is so high. It's not the right thing to do. Part of why, just to give you some examples of where these things come from for me. So these are actual videos that are on YouTube that are labeled as educational for kids. So you will see a ton of this word salad kind of concept. So this one on the left, right? Which it's a train. This is like alphabet train to learn is what the song is called. And on the side of the train, it says dummy, right? Like you can't sound these things out. And that's just causing cognitive overload for kids and confusion. And especially when you start to get into, I have a video posted where I sang the AI alphabet where it's like A, B, C, C, D, G, L, O, unidentifiable character. So we really want to be careful about this. Same as we see hallucinations. AI goes off the rails. It's trained on very different things. And so this is a video about breakfast ABCs, and while the child bites the apple, there is this red ooze coming from his mouth, right? Not a good thing that we want our kids seeing. It's also very easy to get into the place of cognitive overload. So this is a video from it's teaching math is what they claim, but there's confusing and nonsensical symbols on the screen that just overwhelms. And when you need a child to be learning, especially early on, you need them to be learning that 2 means a very concrete number of items, and you're throwing all this stuff at them. It's very confusing. Same as you can get all of these different elements. So this video from the same creator is supposed to be teaching number sense. And I added the captions here so you could see. So the lyrics that are happening during this is 4, knock on the door, 5, 6, magic tricks, 7, 8. Which one is nonsensical, but then it's like, okay, well, if we're teaching 8, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 forks on the table. There's this plate thing going on. There's the kid here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cupcakes, 10 cupcakes going on here. So all we're doing is creating noise for the kids rather than supporting them in learning. And the last category that shows up where there has to be a human in the loop is this notion of dangerous information is showing up in these videos. So this is a video that is J is for jelly. It is an alphabet video. And when you get to J, there is this woman pulling money out of Jello with her teeth. Right. And then if you look really closely, I'm not sure it's going to show up here, there's actually coins embedded in the Jello. This is not behavior we want to be modeling for kids. Same as this is another one that is particularly dangerous because it is a live action character. It's AI generated, but it's a fruit alphabet. When she gets to elderberry, she says E is for elderberry and she eats it. Elderberries are poisonous when they're not cooked. And she's eating a raw elderberry. So this is behaviors that we do not want to be modeling. And we need a human in the loop to help catch this. Because fundamentally, these AI systems are pattern matching. So they have seen lots of letters that, go together. So when it looks at the side of a train, it says, oh, there should be letters here. But it's missing the larger context of what is going on there, that it's for kids, that it's a train, that it should be a word. Right? These AI machines are really good at pattern matching. So if I say twinkle, twinkle, chances are the twinkle, twinkle, little star nursery rhyme, and you immediately thought little star. Or if I say ready, set, right, your brain goes go. That is what these machines are doing. And so if you say I need an alphabet video about fruit, it is going to go A is for apple, B is for banana, C is for cantaloupe. And it's going to get to E and it's going to go, uh-oh, well, elderberry is a fruit. And it's lost the context that it's for kids and that elderberry is poisonous because it's just matching that specific thing that you have asked it for. So what we're going to do is talk through this idea of different kinds of birthday projects. I have picked a fictional child named Marcus who loves dinosaurs and soccer. And we're going to talk through 5 different projects. And these projects build over the course of the skill sets. And then, like I said, at the end, with all of these different skill sets, you can then be able to apply it to lots of different situations in your classrooms or kids or with home, even in everyday life. The first one is just the simplest thing we can do is a birthday message. So generating a very simple message based on what you know about the students. Tool you need in this case is something like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini. A simple LLM will do for this. Now, I'll talk a lot about weak prompts and strong prompts. If you just jump into ChatGPT and you say, give me birthday message ideas for my student Marcus, you will get responses and they will be not terrible. So I did this with ChatGPT. And we get and it says, here's a range of birthday message ideas you can pick from depending on your relationship with Marcus and the tone you want. I kept them warm, appropriate, and student-centered. So ChatGPT is inferring some other information to help zero in this. So you get, happy birthday, Marcus. I hope today is full of fun, laughter, and something you really enjoy. Or some of the encouraging ones. Happy birthday, Marcus. It has been a joy watching you learn and grow this year. I am excited to see what you take on next. Depending on the age of the kid, depending on your situation, right? These are just generic. You could write these yourself without using any of these prompts. But if you give it more information, so I as we mentioned, I do improv comedy, which means we do a lot of puns. I love puns. And actually, one of the things that these models are not bad at is actually giving us puns. So in this case, my first grade student, Marcus, has a birthday coming up. He loves dinosaurs and soccer. Give me 10 birthday messages or puns I could use. Provide a wide range of options, including dinosaur puns, soccer puns, combinations of both, and a few sincere, heartfelt options. Keep it classroom friendly and clean. So when I ran this into Claude, what I got here was 10, a range. So hope your birthday is terrific. Have a roarsome 7th birthday. I guess first graders are 7. So there we go. Claude pulled that out. Hope you're not extinct. You're extraordinary. Happy birthday. Hope your birthday is a goal. Have a ball, Marcus. Right. So it started to play with different things by giving it specific quantity, context, asking for variety and a quantity of things, and setting constraints. Now, what's interesting too is even in the last couple of days, Claude released a new model, their Opus 4.6 model, which allows you to have more of a conversation. Claude will ask for more context. And so there's an interesting evolution to this even, and especially as you get into more complex projects, it comes into play where you can have a back and forth. And I really encourage you just to get away from sort of the idea of one-shot prompts. There's plenty of things on the internet that'll tell you, here's the one prompt to get you a 5-minute birthday video. And that's going to get you the slop. That's going to give you the stuff that's not good. You need to be evolving in this and having a conversation. So that gives us really simple, just basic message, right? First thing we need. Sometimes you can use this of like, if you're struggling to find a way to frame feedback, or you need to write a difficult note, or I've done this when I just want to like send a friend an upbeat message, but I want it to have a little bit of humor to it. So you can play with this in a lot of different ways. So from here, a lot of times it's really nice to pair an image with our messages. So with this set of experiments, we're going to try creating a personalized birthday image that you could print, you could display, you can email it, you could share it. So in this case, using something like Google's Nano Banana or Imagen, Midjourney, or some kind of image generator. There's a ton of tools out there. I'll tell you, I predominantly use Nano Banana, Imagen, and Midjourney are the ones that I prefer. There's a learning curve to every single one of what they're good at and whatnot. So I tend to experiment a lot, and then I find the ones that I lean on the most. And we can talk about how to access these tools too later on. So for this, again, if you give it a weak prompt, you can certainly say a birthday picture with dinosaurs and soccer, right? We didn't even talk about Marcus or whatnot. And so in this case, it kind of picked a kid. This is from ChatGPT, threw in a whole bunch of stuff. Is it fine? Sure. Yeah, you could do it. There's definitely something weird going on down here. It's almost like a soccer bowling pin. I don't even know what that is. So you get a little bit of weirdness going on here. Could you do it? Yes. I think even actually, we got an extra leg on our, what is that, a stegosaurus maybe? Except don't they usually have one horn? I'm weak on my dinosaur knowledge right now. But you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs going on here. Right. So we want to lean on having some more context, some more guidance in this. A stronger prompt to generate an image. Again, it's going to mean we give it some more context and information. So in this case, with a prompt of a friendly T-Rex cartoon wearing a party hat, kicking a soccer ball, the soccer ball is flying toward the cake that has lit candles. You can decide whether you want to actually have lit candles, bright, cheerful colors, simple background with confetti. Text reads, have a dynamite birthday, Marcus. So I took one of the messages from before in large, bold, easy to read letters. and the style is a fun children's book illustration, clean and simple. One of the things that has gotten progressively better, even over the last couple of months, is the ability for these models to embed text into the images. If you give it specific instructions and there's not a whole lot of other things going on, you can very successfully do this. It sometimes still goes off the rails, or it may take a couple of iterations. This was the first iteration. This is with Nano Banana, in this case, that I created this. So you can see again where it's like just a little bit more effort going into this, and you get some really strong output that I think you would feel really good about sharing with a kid. Okay, so now we start to get into the really fun stuff. So short videos. We're going to create a 5 to 8 second clip that you can play. So the tools you can use for this are things like Google Veo is their model. There's Runway, Runway has their own models, as well as access to Veo and a couple of others. There's Pika, there's Quen, there's so many different models out there. I'll tell you, I predominantly use Veo. I sometimes use Runway, and I experiment with a lot of the other ones. The nice thing too with Veo is Veo also creates audio along with it. Sometimes that's terrible and sometimes it's a great thing. So you'll see how that kind of plays out. There's a few models that do that. Again, Veo is it's the one I've gotten the most used to. It works really well for my use cases. I love doing these short videos. Again, it's like if a friend's having a rough day, I just did it yesterday for a friend who, it was her birthday, and I just made a silly little video clip for her. And it's a nice way, especially if friends are having a down day, or, it's an easy thing to do. And because most people, there's still this just wow factor around AI and videos. So being able to create it's just a fun thing to do. So not surprisingly, a weak prompt, like a dinosaur birthday party video. So I made this this is with Veo, and here's what it gives us.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, so is it fine? Yeah, I mean, it's kind of amazing when you think about it. I gave it 4 words and it gave me back that. Now, the ethnicity of the children, it randomly picked. That didn't blow out all the candles. It sang part of the song. I'm sure if we poke around and look at it, we will find little weird hallucination artifacts on the kids in that. So there's, on the one hand, it's kind of amazing that you can generate something that easily, but that's what creates that temptation to do the fast, right? And the sort of, okay, that's good enough, let's run with it. Versus if you give it a strong prompt. Let me show you what you can get.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, so let's look at the prompt in this case. Medium shot of a friendly green T-Rex with big expressive eyes wearing a small party hat. The T-Rex is next to a soccer ball doing a happy dance, bouncing side to side. A birthday cake with lit candles sits on a table beside him. Setting a simple, colorful party room with balloons and streamers. Bright, cheerful lighting. Style 3D CGI animation with soft textures, rounded shapes, bright, saturated colors. All of this is in here for a reason. It is following a formula. So let's look at this again.
Happy birthday to you.
Mute this guy. So we've got our soccer ball, which is wearing a party hat. We've got our party setting. We've got a dinosaur. We've got a little bit of weirdness going on with the candles here, but it's not bad. Now, in this case, I actually didn't tell it what to put into the audio. We could have additionally put in having the dinosaur say, "Happy birthday, Marcus." In this case, I didn't do that. But that is an option. And I think, would our fictional kid Marcus be excited to see this? I think he'd be a lot more excited to see this than he would a bunch of kids standing around a cake that he may or may not identify or see himself in that video, right? So I love this for the personalized nature of it. Now, the formula that's at play here is this. And this is, you'll find lots of variation. Most companies that create these video models will have guides on how to best prompt their particular models. This is Veo's guidance, or Google's guidance for the Veo model, and it carries over to pretty much every model. I very successfully used this. So you want to have, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in this order, but you want all of these pieces. You want the shot type. Is it a medium shot, a wide shot, close in, zooming, drone shot? There's, you can just Google all of your cinematic shot types and you get lots there. You need a subject. Who or what are we looking at? We need the action. What is happening? The setting. Where are we? And the style is that visual aesthetic. So when we look back at that, you see all of these pieces at play. There's the medium shot. There's our who, what he's doing, our setting, and the style is all here. These are still computer programs that we are working with. And while they are amazing that we can, the number of times I've just opened Claude and I've just been like, bleh, all this stuff that's on my mind, and Claude can help me organize that. That is an incredible strength of these tools. But when you get into the video animation side of things, the more structured you can be, at least right now, the more structured you can be, the better the results tend to be. You will still need to make modifications. Things will still show up with 6 legs and whatnot, but the structured prompts really produce better output. The other thing I love creating is our songs. So if you see my YouTube channel, it's predominantly songs. I have a music background. So I love being able to do this. Also, songs are incredibly powerful throughout our lives, but especially in childhood, for helping to learn different things. We've got cleanup songs, we've got happy birthday songs, we've got all the nursery rhymes. And then as you move up into elementary school, there's all sorts of opportunities to learn around that. So another way you can think about doing birthdays is to do a birthday song. So creating some sort of short, catchy little song with their name and their interests. For this, I use Suno. There's multiple other tools out there. I've had mixed results with things, and it really depends on your use case. So for me, Suno has worked really well. And this is actually a 2-step process. One is writing the lyrics with some sort of LLM like Claude or Gemini, and then generating the music. So we're going to skip the weak prompts, because at this point, I think you get the point that if I were to say, write a birthday song for Marcus, it's going to be kind of lame. So here's a stronger version of the prompt. This I used with Claude. Write an 8-line birthday lyric for a first grader named Marcus who loves dinosaurs and soccer. The requirements are 4 to 6 lines total. Oops, haha. Look, I confused myself because I said 8 line and then 4 to 6 lines. Include his name at least twice. Use 1 dinosaur pun and 1 soccer reference, and I gave it 2 specific examples. End with happy birthday, Marcus. Make it rhyme and feel bouncy, singable. So what we got back, here you go, is what Claude said to me. What did it give us? 3, 4, 5, 6. So it listened to this instruction. Marcus, it's your day. Time to stomp and roar and play. Hope your birthday is T-Rexcellent. I love that. That's so cute. It's true. Hope you're golden birthday kid through and through. You're a golden birthday kid through and through. Kick the ball.
Hello, Doctor.
Let out the cheer. Happy birthday, Marcus. Your best year.
Hello, Doctor.
So this was the first result. Oh, did you need me for
Hello,
something?
Dr. Carla.
Yes. What's up?
Please, I think your presentation is not showing again.
Oh, no. Okay, let me,
Oh, I can see the
Okay,
one
I
here.
think it is from the person's.
Can see the
Yeah,
one here.
it is from the person's end. Sorry.
It's okay? We're okay?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
please. You can go on. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. Thank you. Yes. Always interrupt for that stuff, for sure. Okay, so this is one where I took this as is off the first prompt. You could certainly play with this. There's probably, happy birthday, Marcus, your best year. Does that make the most sense? So you could see where you could do some tweaking around this. This honestly came out pretty strong to start. I just am finishing writing, creating a video about a road trip where they cover all 50 states in the US. And I'm writing an article about it because the rhyming in it and the early iterations of it were such a disaster, where it was just forcing rhymes that it was kind of hilarious. I ended up with a great product, but it took a while to get to something good. So definitely the longer you go, the more risk you are of things going off the rails. But in this case, this worked fine. So then let's get back to here. All right. So then I took this over to Suno. This is a shot of just the Suno generation box. Best practices when it comes to Suno. There's this option for simple and custom. You can guess by now, I'm going to say generally you want to go with custom. Within simple, you could have skipped the first one and just jumped in and been like, write a short ditty for Marcus who loves dinosaurs about his birthday, and it would have kicked out something. It would have had all the issues of bad rhymes, random lyrics, all of those things. So that's why we're jumping to the two-step process of things. The longer your song is, the more you want to space out lyrics and clearly label chorus or bridge or verse. Again, that structure just helps these models process the information. File information goes into a separate place. So you want to be as specific as you can. If you get stuck on this, I often will go back to Claude and I'll say, hey, give me musical descriptions for, and I'll pick a song that I like. So I was playing with one that I was using. Do you remember the What Does the Fox Say song that blew up? God, probably 10 years ago now, maybe longer. Ooh, but it might have been longer than that. Oof, I'm gonna have to look that up. But right, you can ask it. You can say, hey, what, how would you describe Taylor Swift? You can't use their specific artist names. Suno will reject those, but you can get the spirit of those. The other thing I will say is generally you be careful with using the phrase for kids or children's. It can tip you into that just like syrupy, sweet, kind of high-pitched yuck. In this case, I did it intentionally and it worked. It balanced with the other things, but that's definitely something, if you're getting it sounds too cheesy, pull that out. Suno also requires iteration. I pretty much always do at least 8 to 10 iterations in order to get a couple of variations to see what I like. It's one of those cases, how most of the time it's like doing the same thing over and over again will get you the same result, except when it comes to AI models where doing the same thing over and over can get you very different results each time. The other things that matter, spell out words phonetically if you need to. One of the best examples is if you're making an alphabet video, if you want it to say Z or Z, you need to spell those out. The number of times I've generated an alphabet and it says Z when I want Z, and it says Z when I want Z. It's just annoying. Names often need to be spelled out. I was just running into, when I tried to use dino versus dinosaur, and I was using dino, it kept saying dino, or then it would say no, like two different words. So it does its own thing. The last thing is rhythm and meter really matters. So when you're reviewing the lyrics originally, you want to say it and make sure that it flows. You want it to either you want to clap it out, but you need it to flow, because the more that meter breaks, the more wonky the output will get. Sometimes Suno will shock you and it will actually come really beautifully. It'll pull it together. Most of the time it'll be fairly disastrous. And so you got to pay attention to meter. And unfortunately, the LLMs just aren't great. They'll get kind of close, but again, they'll prioritize rhyming. They'll prioritize some of these other things. They don't necessarily understand syllable counts. So when I ran this through, these are the two versions that I liked best. So one is 20 seconds. Let's play this one.
Marcus, it's your day. Time to stomp and roar and play. Hope your birthday is T-Rex, so let it true. You're a golden birthday kid through and through. Kick the ball and let out a cheer. Happy birthday, Marcus, your best year is here.
Ooh, I forgot. See, I didn't like that last line that your year, it's your year, whatever it was. And so I changed it to your best year is here. So that was one. And then here's the other one.
Marcus, it's your day. Time to stomp and roar and play. Hope your birthday is T-Rex style, it's true. You're a golden birthday kid through and through. Kick the ball and let out a cheer. Happy birthday, Marcus. Your best year is here.
Now you could hear in that one, it got a little wonky in this T-Rexcellent, it's true line. So that's the kind of things you have to listen for and see what works. If you really like this style, there are ways that you can pull it in to then use it and kind of play with that. So then you can tweak these lyrics. That's where you get into the iteration process. The other thing, just to pause and acknowledge, these tools, right? Part of why we're here is because these tools have been trained on the internet effectively, right? The Suno has built models using music from across generations, and there are a lot of conversations and ethics to be considered in this. One of the reasons why I think it's also very important to say when you are using these tools is because of that, to acknowledge that we are able to do this because of the creative work of so many people who have come before us. My own work is included in the training data sets for this without my permission. That's a whole complicated, challenging conversation that we are still very actively navigating, but it's important to acknowledge it. And especially if you start doing this with kids, to find ways to acknowledge that conversation and to talk about how do we give credit to those people who have been part of this? How do we acknowledge the situation we're in? It's something that's very, very near and dear to my heart and critical. And I've done a bunch of other writing. If you get into the situation where you want some thoughts on how to talk with kids about these tools, I'm happy to share those resources too. So in this case, so now we have these songs. You could share that song. You could share the picture that we have made for Marcus. But the thing I love most is when you put it all together to make a birthday music video. So now we are going to use everything we have done so far, that idea of the videos we've created, the music, and we're going to put it together into a video. This uses the tools we've done so far, and then plus a video editor. So whether it's CapCut, DaVinci Resolve, whatnot, CapCut and DaVinci both have free versions. I use Resolve now predominantly. There's lots of other tools out there that you can use. So to do this, I'm using the lyrics, that song that we already created, that first one, and you need to create video clips to go with each segment. VO generates, in most of our tools that are available, generate anywhere between 4 and 8 seconds per clip. So for I think the clip I used, the audio is 20 seconds. So I needed at least 3 clips to be able to cover that. In this case, I wanted them to roughly follow the line that we're with. If you're doing things where it's like A is for apple, B is for banana, you're going to need to crop much more tightly to make sure those things are matching so that we have the cognitive alignment there. So these are the prompts that I use. These are GIFs of the videos in each case. So you can see, even in this case, I was able to get a video that gave me Happy Birthday Marcus on a soccer field with dinosaurs having a soccer party. And you can see the shot here, slow crane shot, starting at a close-up of a birthday cake, then ascending to reveal dinosaurs gathered around a party table on a soccer field. The text, Happy Birthday Marcus, appears in large, bold, single-colored letters facing forward, unobscured by any objects, which we got a little bit of the dinosaur. What is that called? Sail? Is that called a sail on dinosaurs? And then create it with 3D CGI animation. This one was a pretty short prompt to see what it would do. I had a lot of trouble actually getting dinosaurs to play soccer. This was kind of the best of the bunch, and I would put myself on a little bit of a time limit on this one, and ended up with something that, other than the magical sparkle effects on the soccer ball, was okay, and we can often edit that out. And then we have a dinosaur with confetti. So I took these clips, and then I went into Resolve. And I'm not going to show you Resolve. There's tons of video editing options out there. If you get into this and you need tutorials on this, ping me. I'm happy to share the people that I follow. But essentially what you can see here is I put the song on the timeline, and then I put the clips on the timeline. And I had to cut them down a little bit to make them fit in this case. But put that together and rendered it out, which gave us this.
Marcus, Marcus, it's your day. Time to stomp and roar and play. Hope your birthday is T-Rex, so let it true. You're a golden birthday kid through and through. Kick the ball and let out a cheer. Happy birthday, Marcus, your best year is here.
Okay, so I have notes. There's things I would change for sure about that, but for, something that you can do in about 20 minutes to create that and to hand that off to a kid, that's like kind of amazing. Again, that we can do these sorts of things. But these different tools together, right? So now we have a simple text message that we can make. We have an image we can make. We have videos. We have a song. We have the full video that we can put together. With those 5 different kinds of skill sets, you can create so many different kinds of songs and different kinds of things. So these are a bunch of examples of things that I have done. I've done songs to label emotions. I am 20 letters into how to write the capital version of the letters A to Z. I did one on how to teach scissor grip. This was a request from a teacher. She was like, I really struggled to show scissor grip. Can you make a song and a video for me about that? And I was like, let me see what happens. Oops, we got 2 emotion songs in here. I didn't swap that one out. One of my favorite ones that I made was a potty training song. So I have a friend whose son loves Halloween and with potty training, and I was like, sure, let me see what I can do. And I made the potty dash, and it's about a skeleton and a little like Frankenstein kid who are learning, when they get that feeling in their tummy to run to the potty, and literally was able to make like a skeleton do the cross knee, potty dance kind of thing. Made a 15-minute reading buddy. So you can do these specialized timers. I hear from a lot of teachers that they need a specific use case in their classroom. I'm actually building a cleanup song for another teacher right now because she wants something a little different than the standard cleanup song. I've done word family videos, so where you can get into @ I tend to, incidentally, if you haven't noticed, I tend to skew early education, so in the preschool and early elementary years. But all of these apply. And then you can also get into a place where you start working with kids so that they're making applied versions of this for whatever projects they're working on. I'm going to be teaching high schoolers this summer with some of this, and that's how we're going to approach it, is what do you need to teach or present, and how can you do that in a context? And then one of the things I love most, and I hear from teachers all the time, is how do I animate my kids' drawings and poems? And so now you can see where you could take their poem, write prompts, and create a video of that. Or you could turn their poem into a song, right? You can start to apply these things into these formats. Or if the kids are old enough, you can start working with them directly so that they become part of the creation process. So the tools I use, just to walk through everything. For generative AI, I use Claude, Gemini, and ChatGPT. I jump around between them. I'll tell you, Claude is the one I use predominantly. I also use Claude Code and some of these other use cases of it. But Claude is often my primary brainstorming partner and the one I go to the most. I use ChatGPT the least at this point, and I'm actually about this close to canceling my ChatGPT because it's just, I'm not using it enough. Gemini I also use a lot. Gemini is I think is super powerful. It has a lot of really nice features built in because of Nano Banana and some of these other ones that we'll come back to. But when I'm using it for brainstorming and everything, it tends to be the most academic. And so it gives me long versions of things that are not really kid friendly. It's been the hardest to get it to adapt to my style as well. That'll get better with time. But just to give you sort of my perspective, I've tried lots of other ones. I've run local models on my computer. I tell you, I'm like way too deep into all of this stuff. So that's my take on those. For image generation, I lean predominantly on Nano Banana and Imagen and Midjourney. I have used, and I started with ChatGPT originally. If you're using ChatGPT, because I know there's a lot of like education access for it, the ChatGPT images coming out of the box tend to have a very specific and identifiable style to them. They tend to be a little yellowed. They have this very specific cartoony style to them. I would encourage you to get reference photos of what you want and like, and give it references so that you're saying, create this image in this style, so that you can get away from some of that. Because at this point, once you become familiar with it, as you're scrolling through different things, you'll start to realize which creators are using it, like on Substack and LinkedIn and other places. For Nano Banana and Imagen, there's a number of different ways you can access them. A lot of different tools have APIs that already access these. So if you use some of these other like aggregate tools, you can access it. It tends to be really expensive from a credit perspective. The way I access it is either directly through Gemini, or I use it. And we'll get to this with the video. Google has a tool called Flow. which is how I do all my animation and image generation is through that. But you can access it through Gemini or through Flow. My understanding too is Gemini has, or Google has, a number of different education pricing sort of options. I think all of these major models do. But if you have access to that through Google Gemini, that's going to be a really great bet to get lots of different things that you can use. For audio, I use Suno, as you saw. If I'm doing narration, I use 11 Labs, which we didn't talk about, but 11 Labs is really good at spoken word. It does do music as well. I've not had good luck with it, quite frankly, yet. It's a newer tool for them. But their narration is, quite frankly, amazing. I've actually done where I have a clone of my voice, and I've used that on some videos to actually create the narration for things. For video, like I said, I use Google VO the most, and I use that with Flow. You can also, from Gemini, you can generate videos. It's really slow because it's one at a time. You can also do it through Google's AI Studio, which is not available in every country. So you would have to check if that is something available to you. That's a really nice way to play with things. I also really like Runway. There are tons. There's Kling, there's Pika, there's so many different tools out there. So you just have to kind of play around. They pretty much always have some sort of free trial, or there are daily credits so you can try it and play around with it. And then for editing, I use DaVinci Resolve, which has a very robust free program. I switched to that. I used CapCut for a long time, and CapCut has both a free and paid version. If you want to follow the work I am doing, there's lots of different ways to find me. So on Substack is where I do the bulk of my writing and sharing of like how to. So like I mentioned, there's the talking about AI and ethics with kids. I also share a lot of tutorials. I'm going to start running workshops there as well. LinkedIn, I'm increasingly posting a lot. You're welcome to follow me there and connect with me there. On YouTube, I have two different pieces that I do on YouTube. There is my own personal videos that are like the video versions of my Substack that I am just starting to post. And also on YouTube, the kids videos that I create, which are really for kids under 8, is Hippo Polka is the channel there that I do. One of my favorites that I've created is the weird wheels on the bus. So what if the bus had dinosaur wheels and other strange things? But that's also where all of my alphabet videos are, all of those different things. So that's where to find me.